And we are back with another episode of Banditland Boulevard. We just recapped another back-to-back weekend where the Bandits played on a Friday and a Saturday. It's funny how that works because the Ottawa Black Bears play on a Friday and a Sunday this week. Funny how those things turn out, but the Bandits, this is their second time this year they've played a Friday and a Saturday, and the second time this year that they have split in the back-to-back. They win the first one, and they clinch playoffs. They clinch a playoff game after a big 13-10 home victory against the Las Vegas Desert Dogs, the first ever time the Desert Dogs visited Banditland as in their team's existence. And then a soul-crushing loss where the Bandits came back, forced overtime in the Albany barn, and lost 11-10 in overtime, courtesy of Dyson Williams. Split on the weekend. They are now 11-3 with 4 games to go. Still have some scenarios here where the Bandits can clinch a home field playoff game for the first round coming up in the next 3 weeks. Those scenarios have just begun. It is not over. Tony, how are you feeling coming off of the split this weekend? 11-3. I feel okay about it, honestly. Given I thought the Bandits played a phenomenal first 20 minutes of this series, especially after that first quarter in the home game, but it really didn't look the same after that, honestly, despite clinching the playoffs.
Yeah, I mean, I'm very happy with the outcome that we got the win and we got we got our playoff spot now, so we're guaranteed not to be knocked out. Kind of like plus and minuses during that first home game too, especially with coming out swinging with 11 goals in the first half and then all of a sudden just allowing your opponents to come back to make it even close. I mean, do you really want to continue that kind of trait going into the next games and so on and so forth and seeing other teams watch you get exploited like that, especially in almost a last place team? Come on. You guys got to just keep the foot on the gas pedal no matter what team you're playing, because they will find a way to beat you and they will exploit you for for who you are. And you don't want to have that kind of name on your plate. So I'm happy with the win on Friday, not happy with the outcome on Saturday, but again, going into these 2 games, it was debatable. So I'm very happy with this. I'm happy we walked away with at least 1 out of 2.
Yeah, and all you needed was one victory to at least punch your ticket to the dance. I mean, at least we can successfully say coming out of this weekend, hey, the Bandits are in the playoffs. This is where we're normally supposed to be. They have bigger and better things to play for now. Step 1 is already checked off the checklist there. Now the Bandits are looking for the number 1 seed and a home field quarterfinals matchup. We want the 1 versus the 8. There's only 2 teams in the NLL right now that have clinched a playoff spot. That's the Bandits and the Saskatchewan Rush. Only 2 teams have clinched, and some decent things have happened. The Bandits have separated themselves in the standings a little bit. Colorado did lose today to Ottawa. We are recording this as of Sunday night. They lost to them 14-9 today. Calgary did lose over the weekend to San Diego, and the Georgia Swarm, I believe, did they win? I don't know.
They lost to Vancouver.
They lost to Vancouver. Yeah, Christian Del Bianco gets another win. 15-13 was the score of that game.
Mm-hmm.
So it looks like the Bandits have separated themselves a little bit. I do believe for a fact with 4 games to go that I think they will host a home playoff game. They have to drop below 4th place, and the team that is in 4th right now has 5 losses on the season. So the Bandits have to lose. They have to go basically 2-2 the rest of the way, and the team that's in 4th place right now pretty much has to win out for the Bandits to not even get a home field playoff right now. So I'm very happy with the way the Bandits have attacked this season. It is a complete reverse of what we were fighting for last year. Last year around this time, we were just fighting for playoffs. That was what that was. Like around this time last year, we didn't even know if the Bandits were going to make the playoffs. And then they went on that unbelievable run at the end of the year. They were starting to put things away around Easter time, and then on. They carried that momentum into the playoffs, and we all know how that went. We are still in the dog days of March here for the Buffalo Bandits, and I think we'll start off with the Las Vegas game. Mm-hmm. I think the best start that you could have had. I think that was the best start all year long. Johnny T was talking about, we have to get above and beyond. We have to get past these very, very slow starts so we're not playing catch up the rest of the way. They led at the end of the first quarter 8-1. 8-1 after the first. Lucas Nielsen with his first ever goal on his first career shift, on his first career shot. Shades of number 32 for the Buffalo Sabres, Rob Ray, who scored on his first shift. So did Lucas Nielsen as a Buffalo Bandit. So big kudos to him. I mean, a guy who was filling in for Chase Fraser, who was dealing with nagging injuries that night, didn't even lace up, wasn't even in the lineup. Lucas Nielsen on a fantastic interception with one hand on the stick from Josh Byrne. Great little feed in front of the net. Landon Kells had a horrible night in net for the Las Vegas Desert Dogs. The Bandits were really exploiting them. And then Justin Getty came in, and Justin Getty did have a pretty solid outing for his pretty much the entire half that he played. But Lucas Nielsen showed up, and the ongoing theme of this is your secondary guys lighting up the lamp again. And I'm happy to say this as well. We said in the pregame, Chris Kluche, this is the game where he breaks the goal-scoring drought, and he doesn't just break the goal-scoring drought. He's starting to heat up. He's starting to get hot. He scored in both games over the weekend, but he netted a hat trick, almost 4 goals on Friday night. The other one, he stepped into the crease. Would have been 4 goals. His big toe touched the white line, so they waved that one off. But 3 goals and the first star of the game against Las Vegas. Dude, Chris Kluche scoring 3 on Friday, making some great plays on Saturday despite the loss.
Yep.
I think this is a perfect time at the end of the year where CC2 starts to heat up. What do you think, Tony?
Well, I mean, the way how you presented itself, especially with this is going to be a wake-up call for him, well, he obviously listened. He probably heard a lot from just not only us, but other fans saying, when is it your time that you're going to step up and be the hero instead of having Josh Byrne and Dane Smith do all the work? Now, he must have had what's it called for mental, like not mental people, but for, had a relapse or something like that. Just said, hey, I got to start doing my job. I got to start scoring the goals for these guys and actually, stepping up and being the guy they can rely on to. That's why I'm number 2 and also the third person on that line with Josh Byrne and Dane Smith. So Chris Kluche definitely stepped up, getting his hat trick. Could have had 4, like you said. But other than that, that was a good wake-up call for him. And I'm glad he stepped up and got 5 total points at the end of the game and then became the first star of the game too as well.
Definitely. I mean, outstanding night for Chris Kluche. He was on a bit of a goal-scoring drought there. I think it was a 3-week drought where he wasn't scoring any goals. And
he had none.
3 of his own on Friday night. Big night from Chris Kluche. Also great to see Dane Smith and Josh Byrne get their connection back to make it 5-0. Justin Martin out of the transition on a great feed from Nick Weiss. We see another Justin Martin goal out of the transition this time. We love seeing that. Both of the goals he scored this year, I believe, were on an odd man rush. This one was on a 2-on-1. I think the first one was also on 2-on-1. Justin Martin knows how to score those goals. Nick Weiss with a great setup there, looking great. Kyle Buchanan continues his goal scoring streak in games. He looks great. I think he had a multi-goal night. I think he scored a couple that game. Then we get into the second half where John Tavares in his post game even admitted the Bandits, they weren't crashing the cage as much. They weren't really pressing towards the net during the second half. And, just looking at the box score, the Bandits scored 2 the rest of the way. They led halftime 11-2. They were outscored in the second half 8-2.
That's right. That's scary.
That's not something you want to do. You never want to coast to the finish line. And Tony and I say this all the time. If that was any other team in the National Lacrosse League, I think they would have came back and tied the game. You're lucky you were faced against the 3-10 or 3-11 at the time Las Vegas Desert Dogs. But I don't care if you're first in the league and they're dead last. When you're on pace to scoring like 30 goals in that game at one point, how do you only score 13? Because you're not I understand fatigue and everything because you got to play back-to-back because the NLL schedule creators hate the Bandits and they put them in multiple back-to-back scenarios and 1,500 bye weeks in the beginning of the season. But, I mean, come on. This is not the Georgia Swarm or the Vancouver Warriors who are in playoff spots right now. This is the Las Vegas Desert Dogs. You're up 8-1 on them. Not only did you allow them to, go on a little run, you allowed them to get within 3 of that game. And you only put up 13 after putting up 11 in the first half. Coasting to the finish line is never a good idea. I was thinking in section 106, is it time that we put Matt Vince back in the net? They put Steve Orleman out there. He gives up a couple goals that I think should have been easy saves. And bam, it's a 3-goal game. They had one taken off the board, which I don't think that should have been a no-goal call. It should have been 13-11 in that game. The Bandits are playing with fire in that game, and they're lucky it didn't come back to burn them. You're lucky you're facing against a really, really crappy Las Vegas Desert Dogs team.
Yeah, they sure didn't look crappy in the second half, especially when they were coming back and, bringing that big goal drought back to only within 3. Especially now with talking about goaltending with Kells, I mean, immediately I would have said after the first, 4 goals, if he wasn't stopping anything, get Getty out there and let's see what he can do. Because he basically kept the Desert Dogs in that game the entire time, stopping 33 of 38 and only allowing 5. Especially when he started. If he would have started that game, maybe the outcome of that game would have been in their favor, and they would have upsetted Buffalo at home. But thankfully, that was the case.
I could see that. I totally can see that happening. And the outcome would have been different, Tony, if they pulled him after the third or fourth goal. I think they pulled Landon Kells way too late.
Way too late.
They let him stay in there and give up some bad goals. And
it was awful.
I mean, his defense kind of left him out to dry, but defense also let Justin Getty out to dry, and he came up with some big saves. One out of the 5 goals that he gave up were on the power play with Ian McKay there. And the power play, or 2 of them, he scored 2 power play goals on the night. Those were the only 2 goals that he gave up in the second half.
That was it.
2 special teams. Like, we could say some good things right now about how the special teams was coming back, and they also had their flaws. At one point, the Bandits had a 5-on-3 power play. And they gave up a shorty. They gave up a shorty on a breakaway.
That's something we can.
And that is absolutely unacceptable. I don't care if you're up by 30. That should never happen. Those goals should never happen. But, when you're on pace at the end of the first quarter to score all these goals, maybe even set a franchise record for goals in a game, and you come out with 13 and you allow them to come back with a run of their own and go outscore you 8-2 in the second half and get within 3.
Right.
There was no excuse for that. Like, I know that you clinch playoffs. You want to save some energy for the Albany game. The Bandits played a good 25 minutes against Las Vegas. I think that they sealed up enough energy going into the Albany game, and we'll get into that in a second.
Sure. Because
they came out lackluster as hell in that game for all 4 quarters. They didn't look like the Bandits whatsoever. It was I feel like they saved enough energy against Las Vegas to go in there and absolutely smoke the Firewolves. If we're going to use that excuse, back-to-backs, whatever, I feel like they saved enough energy. They played 25 good minutes against Las Vegas, and they're lucky they got out to an 8-1 lead, and Landon Kells was starting because, like you said, if it was the other way around and Justin Getty got the nod, I don't think we win this game. I swear to God, I don't think we lose this game. I think the fight would have been better in the second half because it would have been a closer game. I think you would have seen more effort from the team in the second half, but that proves our point. We've been saying this since 2022 when we launched this show, Tony. Coasting to the finish line, you're asking for problems.
Yes, you are.
Asking for conflict. You're asking for problems. Now, there were some good parts in this game. The entire first half, I would say, maybe the entire first quarter was great. Probably half the second quarter, I would think, or maybe 10 minutes of the second quarter.
Sure.
Questionable calls. You saw that, but it really didn't matter because the game was pretty much put out of touch there. I thought Nick Weiss pointing at the player was epic, and I didn't think it was a penalty whatsoever. I don't know what was said, but I mean, he got slashed up high. I honestly, I don't think he was wearing a mic, but if you had to ask me what he said, I'd probably think that he pointed at him and said, "That's all you got? Like, bring it. Like, you're gonna slash me up high. I still have the ball here." And that's the thumbnail of this video. In case you haven't seen it, it's him pointing to the other player. But I put the meme on it because the Bandits are pointing to the playoffs. The Bandits are going to the playoffs again. That is the number one thing that we should be taking away from this game, Tony. Now, if they rode this game out into the sunset and put up 20 on them like they should have, at least,
right,
we would have been saying, The Albany game doesn't matter. You see what the Bandits did to Las Vegas and dismantled them, but they didn't. I mean, they won by 3. I don't think another team in the NLL has played back-to-backs twice, like the Bandits have. But that's no excuse. That's lazy. That's extremely lazy. And I know the Bandits went on a 4-hour bus drive after the game and stuff like that. But I mean, at the time, Albany was 3rd last. Las Vegas was dead last. Number 1 teams in the National Lacrosse League should embarrass the hell out of both of those teams and go 12-2. That obviously wasn't the case, but you can't be upset with a win. The only thing that matters is winning. I put it in the thumbnail of the last video. Al Davis, rest in peace. But I said just win, just like what Al Davis used to say. And the Bandits won. And you really can't argue with winning. You had the feeling going into the game that they were going to win, but coasting to the finish line, you tried doing that in a playoff game. God forbid in the first round, you get out to an early 6-1 lead or something, and you try to coast your way to the finish line with someone's season on the line. And that ain't gonna work, I don't think. So
no,
coasting to the finish line is bad, but Las Vegas, I mean, you're lucky that they're bad. You're lucky that they're bad. That's all I gotta say. Landon Kells was absolutely terrible. Their defense was bad, leaving their backup goaltender out to dry. He was making some big saves. He was their best player all night long.
I would say it's the same.
Jonathan Donville did have a pretty decent night as well. The Bandits did a great job on defense of shutting down Jack Hanna. Matt Vince looked like an absolute mastermind out there on Friday night. He was making some big saves. Jack Hanna was getting robbed. He made some pretty phenomenal saves on Jonathan Donville too. And it was funny to see David Brock out there as well. That guy was supposed to sign with the Bandits a few years ago, and then he retired and then joined Halifax and then got moved to Las Vegas. So it was definitely kind of funny to see David Brock out there, and it was like a homecoming for David Brock. He gets in the game in Banditland and takes a penalty. And I'm like, oh, David Brock's back. How about that? David Brock's back. Gets the high stick. I know that's the only comment I'll make about the referees, other than the bullshit Nick Weiss penalty. But how is Zach Belcher going to get 4 minutes for roughing, but David Brock gets a stick up high on Josh Byrne? He's drawing blood dripping down his lip, and he gets a 2? How does that make any fucking sense, right?
Oh.
Like, isn't it in hockey? You get a high stick and someone's bleeding. It's a 4-minute penalty automatically. What the fuck? I mean, these. And then Tony, you were telling me off air. Believe me, we'll get into the idiots that refereed the game on Saturday night. We'll get into that. Sure. Don't you worry about it. But I mean, come on. Like, I don't care what the score is, but be fair. Be down the middle. That's all I'm going to say about it, because I know some of our loyal listeners are sick of us complaining about the referees. But I mean, it's a real thing. They're not the reason why the Bandits only won by 3 in this game. That was the Bandits themselves. They only played a solid 25 minutes. And that's not a good recipe to do against anyone in this league, because you can't take anybody lightly. It's a recipe for failure, is what I'm trying to say. But don't argue with winning. They clinched a playoff spot. That's the only thing that matters. Who is, Tony, your player of the game for the Las Vegas game?
Well, if I was to pick somebody, I would have to bring back a fan favorite, and that would be Josh Byrne. He ended up with 2 goals, 6 assists of the night. He was more of a playmaker, and he got his his old rhythm back. Like, he averages 8 to 10 points a game, and that's the Josh Byrne that we all love to see, is that he could put the numbers on the board, showing up like Dane Smith showed up with 7. But, Josh Byrne just felt comfortable. I mean, after, like you said, that first half was all Buffalo, and he just looked like himself. So I'm going to go with Josh Byrne on that one.
Awesome. Yeah. I have an honorable mention. Rookie time, Lucas Nielsen.
Yep.
Great job for getting on the board early and scoring your first NLL goal. But my player of the game, long overdue, Chris Kluche, the Deuce, getting back on there. First star of the game, scoring a hat trick for the first time since God knows when. And from the Friday night game and the Saturday night game, it looks like if we can take a massive positive out of both of these games, it looks like Chris Kluche's back. It looks like Kluche is back, and he's back to his regular self. And that is going to be great for this Bandits team going into the playoffs this year. And so I'm happy to say Chris Kluche, because it's been long overdue for you, sir, to have a night like that. And get your confidence back against a team that's very bottom of the barrel in the Las Vegas Desert Dogs. So good for you, my guy. That was big night for you. And Matt Vince playing out of his mind, back-to-back weeks, looking great. Matt Vince, despite his age, holding Calgary to 6. And then I believe he only gave up 7. How many goals did he give up to against Las Vegas? It was under 10.
I believe 7.
I know it was under 10. So back-to-back performances of under 10 goals. We love seeing that. One at home, one on the road. Matt Vince looks like he's coming back as well. And the Bandits are in the playoffs. On to bigger and better things. We expect the Bandits to get to the playoffs. So it's not really a huge deal, right, Tony? I mean, this is
right.
kind of where the Bandits belong. Now it's time to think about number 1 overall seed.
Yep.
But more specifically, and most importantly, we just want home field. That's all we want.
Yep.
I mean, the Bandits last year got the 4th seed. The last seed for home field in the quarterfinals won the championship. The only thing I care about, you know what? Saskatchewan, they have a chance at passing the Bandits. They really do. The Bandits got some tougher competition coming up. Vancouver with Christian Del Bianco next week, and then you got to go to Colorado the week after. That's tough. That is very, very tough. I know Colorado laid an egg today in Ottawa, if you can believe that, by 5 goals. But it's different when Buffalo goes to it used to be the Pepsi Center. It's the Ball Arena now. But it's a different vibe there. The Bandits and the Mammoth have had a rivalry going on 20 years now. You know it's going to be back and forth. It could honestly go either way. You got some tough teams coming up. Saskatchewan's got some easier teams coming up on their schedule. All I care about, the 1 seed, it would just be the cherry on top of the banana split Sunday. I want home field. And you have multiple opportunities in the next 4 weeks, the next month or so, to clinch that. So I'm not really worried at this moment, but you just got to play a full 60. Going on to Saturday's game, I don't know if they played a full 15. I mean, you're lucky Albany's just that rough that the game was close. I mean, Albany has won 3 games in a row, and they still have a shot at the 8th seed or the 7th seed, which is unbelievable to even think of. And especially due to the fact that the very best that they can do this year is 500, is 9-9. That's the best that they can do. But I don't know, Tony. Going into the Albany game, they had a lead at halftime, 6-4.
Yep.
You had some of your guys scoring. Tehoka Nanticoke was a healthy scratch in this game. Chase Fraser was back, and he looked great. But the passing just wasn't good. I mean, it looks like the Bandits were passing it to the glass. They were forcing things that just weren't there. It didn't look like they really wanted it from the jump. I mean, they started off with a quick start. They gave up 2 goals right after that, and it was kind of back and forth, and we expected it to be very physical. We expected it to be back and forth against Albany. You just got the vibe watching it, whether you were there or whether you were watching it on TV like I was. It just felt like they didn't want it as much as Albany did. There was just a weird vibe going on. I didn't know if you got the same sense.
Well, I mean, being there and watching it firsthand, I mean, it just felt like they looked off. They were kind of like getting tired. I don't know if it was because of the game prior, and they just said
they only played 1/2 the night before.
But still, you come out, you do almost the same thing in a way. You play a strong first half. You're up 6-4, like you said, going into the third quarter, and getting shut down 3-0 in that quarter alone, and letting them take over the reins and trying to make them, say, "Hey, we got your number. We're gonna beat you." But I knew in my gut, because I looked right directly at the bench, and I'm just like, "You got plenty of time, guys. Take 1 goal at a time, work it out, and find a way to get this tied up." And sure enough, they did. They came back and played like the Bandits we all know, is that they are willing to go the distance. And then with the overtime, the back and forth where you guys can, I don't know, going back to what you're saying about the passing, why are we looking for the prettiest goal? Just shoot on the damn net. Just make
Right.
Jamison worried about one shot after the next. Where rebound, we get the loose ball, we're setting it up again for the next, the fresh 30. And that had happened in overtime where we were still down in their end going, hey, we're coming to get you. But enough with the multiple passes. Do the one to two pass limit and then take your shot. But don't hesitate to take your shot either. But again, we can't really say they haven't shot on net because they had 68, nearly 70 shots total for the entire game. And Doug Jamison was just standing on his own head, keeping the Wolves in.
Doug Jamison was an absolute freak of nature in that.
58 of 68 to finish off the night. I mean, kudos to him, especially even with the chanting like we do at Banditland against them. And I'm sure the people at home have heard it on TV.
Oh, yes.
His and he just kept them in the game. You know what? And kudos to him for really locking it down for him. So to keep them in. And, the better team won that night.
Yeah,
I can't
say that guy, though, Tony.
Won that night.
All you needed was one goal in the third quarter.
That's it.
One goal in the third quarter gives you a regulation 11-10 win. That's it.
Yep. But it didn't happen that way.
15 minutes, and normally the Bandits this season, despite the great record that they have, 8 games over 500, 11-3 in the first place slot of the NLL, we haven't seen a full 60 of them since the early goings. I don't think, Tony. We've seen a good 45 minutes of the Bandits consistently every single week. Even the Calgary home game, they had a solid 45 minutes, and then the fourth quarter was the one that they decided to take off. And they ended up losing by 6. This one, first and second quarter, they had a lead. We can say that they had a lead. Did they look great? No, but Albany didn't look great either in the first half. So it was just kind of back and forth. The shots that they did take, I really wish I'd see more quality over quantity of shots. I know that you mentioned 70 shots on goal. A lot of those hit Jamison right in the middle of his jersey, and he didn't even really have to move. I'd rather take high-quality shots over a high quantity of shots at that rate. But the third quarter is when it really got out of hand. Matt Vince was even making some big saves in the third. But the offense just couldn't do anything. I thought Matt Vince played phenomenal. Couple saves that he probably should have made. I think the 10th goal to make it 10-7 from Dyson Williams. I would have really loved to save there. But the Bandits clawed back. They really did. And it was Ian McKay, Chase Fraser, Josh Byrne. 1, 2, 3 tied up at 10. Then you get to overtime. This is where I really have some problems. This was a team that in previous years, like 1 to 2 years ago, if they went to overtime, you knew the Bandits were going to win. Automatic, you knew the Bandits were going to win. They had a game plan. Get the ball to the hottest player on the team that night. Have him find the back of the net. That was at least what we believe is true. Like the Riptide game on Josh Byrne's birthday a couple years ago where he went top shelf. He was the best player on the field that night, bar none. The Philadelphia Wings game at home. You get the ball to Dane Smith a couple years ago. He was the best player on the field that night. No question. He scores the overtime winner. The Georgia playoff game, Josh Byrne. They scored 10 goals in that game. Josh Byrne scored 5 of them, including the OT winner. Best player on the field that night. What was the game plan last night? Dane Smith, who had a horrible second half, couldn't complete a pass, couldn't catch a pass, couldn't get a shot on net. Why was the game plan in overtime to force feed the ball to Dane Smith? That is what I do not understand. The best chance you had in overtime was Josh Byrne. He took the shot on net, and then it was Doug Jamison's, the back of his stick went in, and I thought that was the ball. And I'm like, oh my God, Byrne just ended the game. And I was like, no, that's the butt end of Jamison's stick.
It was
bright white, like the color of the ball. I thought that was it. But my point is, Josh Byrne, who got the tying goal in the 10th, or to make it 10-10 in the 4th, he had the hottest stick going into overtime. Was the plan to not get it to Josh or not get it to Kluch? Kluch just wasn't shooting the ball in overtime. He had a hell of a night that night. He was looking great too. They really couldn't stop his shots. You know, we couldn't get the ball to Ian McKay in overtime. The plan was to force feed the ball to Dane, and that's what I'm questioning coaching right there. Dane Smith could not complete a pass in the second half. What makes you think there's going to be a switch in OT and he's going to turn to superhuman Dane again and get the game winner? Because it looked eerily similar to the home overtime loss against San Diego, where they weren't completing passes. They weren't getting good quality shots on net. They were missing the net a bunch. Shot clock violations. They couldn't get the ball off within 30 seconds. I will say in overtime, Matt Vince made some phenomenal saves, keeping the Bandits in that, giving them opportunity after opportunity after opportunity. Matt Vince played great. Dyson Williams, behind the back, there's no stopping that. Absolutely not. I mean, the defense, I thought they did a great job covering the top of the crease there. I thought Matt Vince was in position. No one expected Dyson Williams with less than 5 to go in the shot clock to take a crazy behind the back shot. But that's just, I mean, former first overall draft selection, Dyson Williams. He's going to do things like that, and he's going to make you pay, scoring the game-winning goal. But overtime, second half, execution needs to be better for the Bandits, and we saw that on Friday and Saturday night. Poor second half. You love the rally, you love the effort in the fourth quarter, but it simply wasn't enough for the Bandits.
Yeah, what they have to do now is to recap and go back to basics again and get back to the way the Bandits were playing all season long prior, like the first 7 games when they had the 7-game winning streak going. They need to play not 45 minutes, not 25 minutes, not one half or the other. They need to play a full 60 minutes of Bandits lacrosse. The offense needs to stop, relying on multiple passes, number one, to make it look pretty. Get that out of your plan system.
We don't need the Sports Center top 10.
We don't need that. So 2 pass minimum, get the shot off, get the loose ball, do it again until your opponent's defense gets tired and their goaltender gives up. That's the way we got to go back to basics. And on top of it, how you mentioned with Josh Byrne with the hot stick that he should have been called upon for that overtime because he only had 1 goal that night. That's the thing. Probably why they didn't go to Josh Byrne is because he only could get 1 done in that game. And
but he was also heating up in that fourth quarter. He was really heating up.
Oh, you could tell he was, and he was getting fired up on the bench too. Like he's like, give me the ball. I get it. So that's cool too. That means that shows heart and that shows determination. And like you said, the passing needs to get crispier. I mean, it needs to get 100% better because they need to stop doing the fancy, we got to go from one side to the other side and then back over, make the pick and whatever. No. Simple, set up play, 1-2 punch every time on the offensive zone. But other than that, like you said before, Matt Vince kept him in the game as much as he possibly could. And I'm going to explain this, the last part where a lot of people have been telling me, did you check the shot clock in that Dyson Williams goal in overtime and why it froze at 1 second when clearly there was like maybe a 2 point whatever second delay?
Yeah, well, if you go ahead and you look at the
I'm not saying the fact like they made a mistake or they didn't see it or they accidentally stopped it, but really look into that last goal, guys. I mean, I'm not saying they didn't deserve to win that game, and Dyson Williams' amazing ESPN goal, especially over the foot of Matt Vince, even though he was on the right side, but just enough to get to his short side and sneak that one past him. The other thing is that with the fact that they got to watch not just there was nobody's foot in the crease at all, so it was a good goal. But the fact
they were looking at the shot clock, they got the
shot clock at the same time as the ball was traveling. If it didn't cross over, there's no goal. So the thing when we saw time froze, who was the mistake there?
Yeah, go ahead and look at the overhead view. You see the seconds go down 4, 3, 2, 1. It stays on
there
for a little bit. Yeah. No, I didn't notice that, but I'll be the first one to tell you. Take advantage of every opportunity that you have. If there's something going on with the shot clock, but it's still at 1, hey, stuff happens sometimes. The Bandits, I will tell you 100%, the way that they executed that overtime in that third quarter, they did not earn themselves a victory on Saturday night. So
no, they sure didn't.
You can talk about the shot clock and stuff, and I saw that outrage on Facebook too. They're like, this is ridiculous, blah, blah, blah. My point to those people are it might look that way, and I was thinking the same thing watching it live. I'm not even going to lie to you, but the Bandits did not deserve to win that game. 100%. They were outclassed in the second half and overtime by Albany. Matt Vince was playing on his head in OT in the fourth quarter, and
trying to keep him in the game.
It wasn't enough. It was not enough. I just don't understand the Bandits in overtime. Why are you taking the ball away from Josh? Why are you taking the ball away from Chase? Why are you taking the ball away from Chris, who consistently all night long had a lot of great opportunities, and the plan was to give Dane Smith the ball. And it wasn't even Dane that kind of had an off night. There were a couple plays where Dane passed it to Kyle Buchanan, hit him in the stick, and he just dropped it in the second half. It didn't really look like the Bandits were really fatigued. It looked like their heads just weren't in it. And it's just one of those WTF games that we mention sometimes. And
sure do.
This is what makes rivalries so special, when it's back and forth. And that's exactly what Albany and Buffalo is. I mean, this is the first time Albany beat the Bandits since the Bandits had a goalie goal scored on them at the KeyBank Center, which was over a calendar year ago. So when it goes to overtime, it's an ultimate wild card, but you could see the difference. Albany with the fast-paced passing, finding the open guy. Matt Vince was just making some big saves. Buffalo, it looked like they were trying to force it to one player, and they were really milking that shot clock down to 5. And once that shot clock hit 5, they were panicking, missing the net. The Albany defense stepped up in that overtime as well. It wasn't a night where you felt like the Bandits had any sort of control of it. Even at halftime, I was a little bit uneasy at 6-4. I'm like, you know what? If we played a little bit better in that first quarter, if we didn't go on that 9-minute goal drought in the first quarter, and maybe we potted in a couple more and took the halftime lead 8-4 or 9-4, I'd feel a lot bit better about that. But 6-4, it's still super close game when you have a half hour to play, and especially due to the fact that Albany coming right out of the gate there in the third quarter, you're like, oh, here we go. It's going to be a hell of a finish. And even on the preview, when I was a guest on Sports Talk Saturday at WGR, I said, dude, this is going to be a physical game. This is going to be a very, very close and back and forth game. I expected it to be a little bit more high scoring, but this is what you kind of expected. When it's 6-4, either Buffalo or 6-4 Albany at halftime, the game's not even close to being over. And I felt like the Bandits kind of thought going into that third quarter, we have this. I felt like that was kind of the mentality. And then all of a sudden they look up at the scoreboard at 7-6 Albany, and you're like, what do we do now? It's
get back on your heels and play.
It's very shades of 2022 of the Bandits right now. Once they give up a lead, they really don't know what to do. And this is the exact opposite of what we saw from them in 2023, where if they're down by 3 in the third or in the fourth quarter, the Bandits got them right where they want them. The Bandits are going to somehow find a way to win that one, steal that game in overtime, or come back in regulation and win that game. They did come back in this one, though, and Albany is just, I don't know what the game plan was. I don't know what was drawn on the boards there for overtime, but back-to-back overtime losses. I mean, the Bandits are on an overtime losing streak right now, going back to the San Diego game, and that's something that we're really not used to seeing. 2 very, very poor executed OTs.
That was pretty sad to see that. Now, I was going to mention that too as well, is that this year, after last year, winning every single overtime game that we were possibly put in, and now all of a sudden the story script flipped, and now we're 0-2. It's like you don't want to be put back in that position again, because you guys just can't seem to find that last spark to finish the job when you come back and being down 10-7 and tying it up, and you're going, you know what, guys, our momentum is on our side. Let's just finish this. And just allowing them to come back down and just score that goal, and even if it's controversy or not, just to allow him to score like that, that's just, hey, it is what it is. But I get it. But now you have to erase what you've done, get back to basics, and focus on the next game, which is Vancouver coming up this next Saturday.
And the basics are, you're still in first place. You have playoffs locked up. You only have 3 losses on the season with 4 games to go. You're still in the driver's seat. That is what you should know going into it. The only thing that we want the Bandits to do is play a full 60. If you don't do that next week against Christian Del Bianco, you will lose. If you don't play a full 60 against a dynamic goalie like Christian Del Bianco, those guys are riding high. After they put up 15 on Brett Dobson. You don't think they're going to be carrying that momentum into the KeyBank Center, trying to shut everybody up 17,000 plus in Banditland? You're sorely mistaken. You got a red hot Vancouver team coming into your house, and if you don't play a full 60, I guarantee you will not win that game.
That's
That's
right.
what you need to work on. But you're still in the driver's seat. Playoffs are clinched. You're on to bigger and better things. Think about home field now. You still have a lot to play for, so there is no room for leaning back thinking, we got this. No room for that because home field advantage is still in play. And the teams that are in second, third, and fourth, they want it just as much as you do. And it's not going to be handed to you on a silver plate. So you got to go in there and you have to play a full 60. I think we need to get into our player of the game for Albany. And I'm going to say it right out of the gate right now. My player of the game is 100% Doug Jamieson. Doug Jamieson was the best player on the field that night, spent the most playing minutes on the field that night, played on his head, made some big saves, especially in the first half. Doug Jamieson was probably the main reason, and Dyson Williams, that the Albany Firewolves won that game.
Yeah, Doug Jamieson, like I said before, stopping 58 of 68 shots, really stood on his head and kept the Firewolves from allowing the defending champions to defeat them at their den. So kudos to him. Kudos to their defense for waking up at the right moments and almost giving up actually towards the end, but then they stepped up in overtime and shut down, the Buffalo Bandits' high-powered offense and not allow them to get their chances what they needed to. But again, the better team won that night. You already mentioned Dyson Williams. I was going to say him for his goal, but I guess I will take the person that actually started off for the Firewolves, and that is going to be Ty Kurtz, who also had a 6-point night, 2-goal, 4-assist day. Another one you got to watch out for that they still kept their little young core besides Alex Simmons. They are dangerous, and they will be back in the finals again if they keep the same team. So kudos to you guys. My guy is Kurtz. Your guy is Jamieson.
Yep.
And also to recap the fact that with the next 4 games coming up, we got 2 more on the road and 2 more at home. The next one being at home this Saturday coming up against Vancouver Warriors.
And you know what? I'm not going to be upset that the first road loss happened in late March. Like
that's impressive itself. Just to finally, after having a good run like that, and then that's your only loss on the road. Kudos to the Bandits for doing such a great job. Even 11 out of 14 games.
I mean, the Bandits, they've been through the ringer in some of these road games. They're down 5-0 in Toronto. They come back and win that game. They're down early to Saskatchewan. They come back and win that game. They're down early to Calgary, come back and win that game. They've been through some tough competition on the road, and the fact that it's their first one losing against Albany. I mean, it sucks losing against those guys out of all teams, but I would, if roles were reversed, I'd be upset that the Bandits are 6-9 right now. I love where the Bandits are. I'd rather be 11-3 right now and in first place, already have playoffs locked up, than where Albany is right now at 6-9 and in the 10 seed right now. They're not even in the playoffs right now. So it's big. And if the season ended right now, and we are recording this on Sunday, March 23rd, the Bandits would be hosting the Georgia Swarm, the 1 versus the 8 seed right now at the KeyBank Center. Saskatchewan would host Vancouver. Halifax would host Rochester, and San Diego would host Colorado. So that would be pretty cool to see all of those teams in there at a time. I don't think the Bandits would really struggle against the Georgia Swarm. That seems like a pretty reasonable matchup for those guys. I will say though, Tony, I don't know if I really want to see Albany or Calgary in the first round, or San Diego. Those are the teams that I'm kind of like, ooh, I don't know about that in the first round, even if it's at home. I mean, San Diego gave the Bandits fits, Calgary too, and Albany seems to be scorching right now. I think they've won 4 out of their last 5. So it doesn't matter how you do it. It just matters how you get into the playoffs. And if Albany comes scorching red hot into the finals, or into the playoffs, that can be a problem. But as of right now, they are in the 10 seed. Would have been nice to get the overtime win there and kind of extinguish that fire that they've been on. But hey, what can you really do? There's 4 games left. Bandits have the Vancouver Warriors at home, Colorado on the road, Halifax at home, and
you didn't have teams.
And Georgia Swarm on the road.
Or we went game apiece. The 3 teams played twice. we split a game apiece. So yeah, good kudos on them three. That could be a epic difference, but also in the playoffs too as well. It could be a different atmosphere. I mean, the Bandits might be like, you know what, it's our house now.
Time to lock in. Yep,
we're gonna beat you. So no.
Yeah, so. I mean, at least the Bandits are there.
Yeah,
the Bandits and the Rush are the only two teams that could say, "Hey, we made it. At least we made it. At least we punched our ticket." Mm-hmm. They can say that. They can't. Some of these other teams, they can't say that they punched their ticket in just yet. So I love where the Bandits are in the standings. It's just one simple fix. Full effort, 60 minutes. That's it.
That's it. You're right on that.
So you split the weekend set. We will have the preview for you coming up probably on Friday, I think. The Vancouver Warriors and the Bandits play Saturday night at 7:30 at the KeyBank Center.
Yep.
So we will have the pregame out for you on Friday night sometime. But despite the split, Bandits still punched their ticket to the playoffs, and that is the number one thing that we are going to take from this weekend.
Yes, we are. And we can't be happier enough that the Bandits are going for, what's this now, the consecutive how many years in the playoffs?
2018 was the last time they made it, and they barely missed it. I think that was Josh Burns' rookie season was the last time the Bandits missed the playoffs. So
good job, boys. Congratulations on making it again.
And that year where they missed the playoffs, they drafted Ian McKay in the first round. So it wasn't all for nothing.
That's right. Also, we'd like to congratulate two milestones that also hit. Dane Smith, didn't he hit 500 goals, or was it something more? Or is it the assist column?
Yeah, no, I think he hit 100 points for the 8th time in his career. He hit 100 points.
Good for you, buddy. And also for Matt Vince for 11,000 saves in his career.
I think that's the NLL leading 11,000 saves. I don't think any other goalie has done it in the National Lacrosse League. So he leads the NLL in minutes played, and I think he also leads the NLL history books in saves made. So Matt Vince, in case you had any doubt, he will go down in history as the greatest goaltender to ever play the game of indoor lacrosse.
I couldn't agree more.
And be careful what you say, those people that want Matt Vince gone, because I saw how Steve Orleman played on Friday night, and I was not thrilled. No, I will say that. I was not thrilled by the way that he was playing. So.
No, he definitely looked a little shaky, especially coming in when they pulled Matt Vince and said, "Okay, Steve, it's your," or is it Steve or Kevin?
Yeah, Steve.
It is Steve. Jesus, I almost got the brothers lost.
And then always greener on the other side.
Yeah, let's not do that.
Nope, the grass, always be careful what you wish for, to be cliche.
Yeah, that's true. So, and we'll have to wait and see. But again, it all comes down to where the change of difference pace of regular season to playoff mode. Basically it.
Yep, that's right. And to all the Albany fans that showed up, talk about before we get into our sponsors, I have to say this. All I heard all week long was sell out in Albany. All these sections are sold out, blah, blah, blah. That's all I heard. When you watch it on the TV broadcast, I could count rows of empty seats. Where was the sellout?
Yeah, there wasn't.
That's not me being a salty Bandits fan here, but all I heard from the Albany media was, it's going to be a sellout this weekend when Buffalo comes to town. I saw a shit ton of orange being worn in that building, and the ends. I could count rows of seats that were completely empty the entire game. So someone enlighten me. Tell me where the sellout was, because I didn't see it. So just saying, if you're trying to compare yourself to Banditland, you will never be like Banditland. The fact that NLL insiders were flexing that you were selling seats in the upper level, guess what? The Bandits have been doing that for decades. They've been selling seats in the 300 level. So, wow, huge. And the Bandits play in an NHL arena that sits over 19,000 fans. Just saying. But, yeah, I don't know where the hell that sellout was. I'm going to put air quotes around it because I didn't see a sellout. So, normally, sellouts don't look like a Sabres game crowd when they're playing the Toronto Maple Leafs, where I see most of the building filled with the away team's colors. Just saying. But, yeah, Buffalo splits the weekend series. Punch their ticket to the playoffs. Let's go for that home seed.
That's the mission.
That's it.
That is the mission, guys. Just take one game at a time from here on in. Don't worry about what your opponents are doing elsewhere. Just one game at a time, whoever you're facing. Just worry about that game. That's it.
Keep it rolling.
But
yeah.
it's time that you said so before. It is time for our shout outs of our sponsors, and that is Buffalo Banditland Boulevard would like to thank our main sponsor, and that is Mitchell's Tavern, located at 734 Sheridan Drive up in Tonawanda, New York. Guys, we ourselves, from the hosts of Banditland Boulevard, myself, Tony LaMonica, Trevor Hauer over there, saying go try their food, go enjoy the service there, because I'm telling you right now, you will be treated like family, and the food is phenomenal. I promise you that. So go and check it out. And also don't forget, on April 1st, that is a Tuesday, from time 6:30 p.m. to 7:45 p.m., Josh Byrne will be there to sign autographs for the fans. So if anybody wants to check it out, mark it on your calendar, April 1st, 6:30 to 7:45.
And it's not a joke. It's not April Fool's.
It is not an April Fool's joke. I am being serious. The owner, Nick Christo, has mentioned it to me and said he wants to have me and Trevor there, possibly get an interview with Josh Byrne if his agent will allow us to do so, or we could just ask him if it's okay. And we will be there as well. Also, we'd like to thank Herney's Journeys. If you want to book your next big adventure on a vacation trip, please contact Suzanne Pike at SuzannePike@Herney'sJourneys.com. Let her book your next big adventure. For those of you who have been watching us on YouTube, please give us that like, subscribe, hit that notification bell, leave a comment, let us comment you back. If you guys want to be on the show, watching us live here, or you would like to join us here live on StreamYard, especially seeing your face being a proud part, Trevor and I would like to hear your messages. Please contact us as any possibility known to man. Sorry, I'm stuttering a little bit.
It's all good, bro.
It's all good. But let us know if you want to be a part of the show. Message me, message Trevor. We'll be glad to have you on board. Also, we'd like to thank those for listening in on every device known to man, on your phone, your tablet, your radio station, on Spotify. Give us that 5-star rating and let us talk about nothing but Buffalo Bandits lacrosse.
Whether the Bandits clinch a playoff spot like they did, or if they play 25 minutes a night like they did on Friday,
yep,
or they play a full 60 like we've yet to see since December of 2024, we will still end the show with these 3 simple words. And Tony, what are those 3 words?
And those words will always be with us no matter what, to the day we die. And we're going to do it like Chris Swenson would always say at the games. And we're going to do it in 3, 2, 1. Let's go, Bandits. Let's go, boys. One game at a time. Take a deep breath and keep moving forward. Let's get this done.
Step 1, check. Playoffs, we made it. Let's go, Bandits. Come on, boys.
Now it's time for home field.
Keep her rolling, as Fred Durst said. Rolling, 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 rolling. Let's go.